This thing has tripled my workflow, and both in the creative process and the mixing process. And the best thing of all is that it's free and it's completely customizable. Yo, it's Thomas Anthony from Fancy Fox Music. Fancy Fox Music is all about helping you become the artist that you're meant to be, so that you can confidently share your music and your story and make an impact with your message. Now, this is your first time on the channel. I share my experiences from over 10 years in the music industry, and I upload a new video every Tuesday related to music production, music marketing, or just music lifestyle, me going out and playing gigs and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing, hitting the little bell thing so you don't miss a video when it's uploaded. All right, let's jump right into what we're talking about today. This amazing free piece of software called Live Enhancement Suite. This thing has tripled my workflow, and both in the creative process and the mixing process. And the best thing of all is that it's free and it's completely customizable. So this is something you need if you are using Ableton Live. Now, I'm going to start this video off by showing just the basic functions of Live Enhancement Suite. Then I'm going to move on to my workflow, both the creative process and the mixing process, and how I incorporate them both in. Show you some of my favorite things, and then show you some of the things that I didn't like. This is an amazing piece of software. Definitely stick around, check this out. If you're an Ableton Live user, just start using this. This is amazing. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but I am also including my script that I wrote for this thing. It's super easy to customize, but I'm going to include mine just in case you need some extra help, or you want to see what my workflow is, or like how I categorize things. So I'll link that down below for a free download. Okay, let's jump into the computer and take a look at this software. All right, so Live Enhancement Suite. Let's just look at the website really quickly. Look at how snazzy it is. It's for Mac and Windows. So basically the features are, if you can double right click, it'll bring another menu up that you can completely customize and really have all of your instruments separated, your effects separated, and really even dive into deeper categories with those. You can use it on all platforms, as I just said. This is a sick feature that you can time your project, so you can find out exactly how much time you're actually working on. I've been like finicky with this. I need to test it out more to see whether if I save a new project, it's going to continue the overall project, or if that starts a new time project. Close all plugins. I'll get to this. This was one of the ones that I found didn't work for me. Clear track, this is great. If you duplicate a track, instead of having to select the whole thing, you can literally just hover over the track, press Alt X, and it deletes it. Draw notes, this was another thing that didn't work for me, but it's not really that big of a deal because I just used the draw, press the B button. Stay in key, this one also didn't really work for me, but again, I have a little template set up that I don't really need that shit. Quickly place locators, this was a great one. This is a huge feature. Pan without your keyboard. I have a Mac mouse, so I can just go left to right with my finger and it doesn't really matter. Auto save quickly, haven't really used this one. I'm pretty OCD about saving different versions of things, so I like to rename them so I know exactly what's happening in each thing. And then another couple things are, you could double press the 0 button to delete something, Control Shift Z to redo, Alt E to show an envelope in the piano roll, Alt C over hovering over a track, and yes, I'll just go through some of these right now. So the first thing is first, I'm going to dive into this one, the double clicking one, just to show you my workflow in a second. But basically you just double right click and it brings up this menu. This is completely my own setup, and this is how I like to have my things for my total workflow, but you can just make it however you like. The next thing is the clearing all tracks things. That didn't really work for me, but if I make a new let's say not an audio track, if I make a new MIDI track, and if I just make a new MIDI clip here, bingo, if I double right click, it doesn't bring up the other menu, so that one wasn't working for me. But like I said, if you hold Alt and press X while just hovering over it, it deletes that the whole thing. So if I made let's go, Z. So if I made like 10 of those and I'm like, this is a sick track, I'm going to duplicate this. If I just hover over, and I can delete all of them, or if I hover over this whole thing, I can delete the whole thing. So that's super useful. Another thing that I found, so if I go back and if I go to here, if you hold the title key, which is a little wiggly key, you should be able to draw, but like this, but it doesn't actually work like that. So yeah, just that was a function that just didn't work for me. Maybe it was a glitch, I don't know. The stay in key thing, quickly add locators. So you use the right alt. Before you'd have to go up here, insert locator, but I can just literally click right here and press alt. Control Alt, and it makes a locator. Control Alt. Now, a couple finicky things that I did find with this. This works sometimes, but sometimes you really have to not move your mouse, because if you move your mouse, it'll just kind of mess things up. So if you just click it right there and then don't move your mouse, then you can start to add the locators without having any issues. Another cool thing is that over here, again, if you press Command, what is it? I think it's Command E or Alt E. So if you go Alt and E, you can switch back and forth between the envelope view. This has been awesome because I use that so much. Like, I'm always switching and trying to automate stuff in the envelope view. So this has been really, really, really useful. But again, if you're moving your mouse too much, it'll get a little bit finicky. Now, one other thing that I didn't do was the piano roll thing, but I have in my template here, which if you would like to download, there's a free download in the description of my Ableton template. So it just kind of has the way I set up my own template: drums, bass, harmonies, melodies, vocals, effects. I have some effects on each of these channels, just kind of like the main ones that I would use to kind of get the creative process started. But I also have this section up here with the MIDI notes, or up in MIDI. So I have the major minor keys. So if you really want to keep everything in key, you just go to you just select whatever key you're in. So in this case it's F, and then you would collapse it, and then everything is in F. You can also, I could also select all, and I could just go up 1 or up 2, and then I'll be in G, and then I'll close it down, and then everything's in G. So I don't really need that function, and also I know the scale, so I don't really have to do that, but that's just up there in case anybody would need it. But again, this is how I would use it in my workflow. So I have customized it to, when I double right click, I have all my instruments. So this is, when I'm doing my creative process, this is pretty much all I use. I use these ones, and I use the MIDI pitch just to kind of go up and down octaves in whatever thing I'm using. So I have my instruments here. I just go in, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm like, oh, I need to work on some bass. So I'll just go into my MIDI track, and then I'll double right click, and I'll go, oh, okay, I need massive. Clicks it. Boom. Couple seconds later, massive. Boom. There we go. And then sometimes also what I use over here, besides the instruments, is I like putting saturators on things. Those are some things I quickly use. MIDI pitch, like I said, to just kind of go up and down with the MIDI pitch, with the pitch. Kickstarter, I just like having a side chain on there. Although lately I've been finding that this is really CPU intensive for some reason. And then these ones are just kind of for monitoring like the tonal balance, and I have reference for the SonarWorks thing. I always use that on my tracks, and just a spectrum, just in case I need that on a random track. So that's pretty much what I use for the creative process. But for the mixing process, so this is super awesome. So I have all my effects kind of grouped. So I have all my saturators whenever I want saturation, my EQs, I have the 2 EQs, compressors, I have my most favorite compressors, side chains, LFO2 and Kickstart, imaging, isotope imager, and I like the, what do I have? Yeah, S1, and then also my panning. I have PanMan, all my little panning stuff, and then my favorite reverbs. And then again at the end, just in case I need it, a utility and a limiter at the end, because that's my favorite limiter that I like using. So I have these little bad boys up in here. So anytime I'm in the mixing process, I just really just get to work. I don't have to go over here where I do have everything kind of categorized over here just in case. So this is a good backup, because I have found that with this program, it does stop working sometimes. Like, it'll just randomly stop working, and when I double click it, it'll find it there, but it won't actually insert it. So it's always good to have these things kind of over here. So I have, these are kind of the categories that I use: mixing, metering, vocals, and mastering, and synths. Now, the main thing that I find which is super amazing with this is that when I'm going down to mix down my project, so I'll go down, I'll individually mix down each of the sounds, make sure they're sounding all crisp. Then when I'm going to group processing, usually all I want on here is a side chain. And then I can double right click and I can go into my chain section and really just pick the exact chain that I want without having to like worry about anything. Just everything is right here ready to go. And I've already done the work of putting those chains together and making them sound, making them just really cohesive. So that's all I have to do. Now, obviously I can go over to my racks and just go into my little processing chains and drag it from here as a backup plan, but it's really nice. I just have to double click, bing, bang, boom, and stuff pops up like that. Now, this software is amazing. It's free and it's completely customizable. I'm just gonna show you that right now. So when you go to configure settings, it's gonna tell you that you need to add some stuff to the script. Oh, that's the wrong one. It is the first one. Configure menu. So you want to add and delete stuff from your menu. Literally all you have to do, and I will include my script in the video description so you can just kind of copy and mix and match things. So basically you just have your instruments, that's the title of the thing, of the menu, and then you just write whatever name you want, and then in brackets you write whatever the VST is or audio unit from your actual plugins and just put an AU. If it was VST, you just put VST. See, this is the exact name that it's gonna search up to add it in there, and then you can make whatever name you want it for itself. So I have instruments and then effects, and then these double slashes are for the menus within menus. So I have my saturators, bing, bang, boom, saturators. Then I have the next menu, EQs, then my 2 EQs. Now I've kind of just categorized this into my favorite things. So you can just mix and match and add things and do whatever you want to do. Yeah, and just make it completely your own. So super easy. Again, there's a bunch of tutorials. If you have any questions about it, you can always hit me up and ask me about it. But this thing is super amazing, powerful, and it's free. Like, you can't go wrong. Yes, there are some downfalls. Some of the things don't work, but who cares? It's free. And then also, it stops working sometimes, and some things get a little bit finicky. But I found that if you take your finger or your hand off the mouse, that kind of if you take your finger off the mouse, that kind of really helps to adjust those things or helps to fix those things. And then also, yeah, if it fails and it's not working properly, you always have your little buses over here or your little groups over here for backup. As I said, these are like my processes and my mixing chains and all that kind of stuff. If you would like some help with your mixing or you want some help with music in general, I offer a one-on-one mentoring program. If that's something you're interested in, I can help you get wherever you need to go in music. I have some solid ass music out. Check out my work. If it's something that you think you want to sound like or you want to have the quality of my tunes, you can definitely, there's a link down below. I have a sign up form. I'll be starting it in about a month is when the mentoring program is going to be opening again. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check that out. Also, I'm going to be making some more chains for this and some more, groups and stuff for this program so that I can even enhance different templates that I have. So like my mixing template for making DJ mixes. I just had a DJ mix that came out yesterday. It's called Smell the Roses. It's a monthly DJ mix, a full high energy club mix that's really great for working out or getting party started or going to the gym. And yeah, I'll link that down below as well if that's something you're interested in. Now, once again, I'm Thomas Anthony from Fancy Fox Music. Until next time, peace out.